Ever get the feeling there's more to those symbols and rituals we always hear about with Freemasons?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what's the deal with all the secrecy?
Right.
Well, today we're going deep into Freemasonry,
Oh,
specifically the Masonic apron.
okay.
And let me tell you, what we find might just change how you see this whole ancient group.
Interesting.
Our guide for this deep dive is a book from 1914
Okay.
by Frank C. Higgins.
Mm-hmm.
It's called The Apron. Its traditions, history, and secret significances.
Catchy.
Now, this isn't some typical book, just praising morality.
Right.
Higgins comes out swinging.
Really?
Claims Masonry is actually the original way divine revelation was shared,
Wow.
hidden in plain sight within its symbols.
Bold claim.
Oh, and get this, he dedicates the whole book to something called the Magian Society. Magian Society.
Yeah, like a group obsessed with uncovering the deepest secrets of Masonry.
Sounds like Higgins wasn't afraid to step on some toes.
Not at all. He even challenges that traditional sentimental view of the apron. Those poetic comparisons to living a good life.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
But Higgins, he's like, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
What if these symbols are way older?
Okay.
What if they have a deeper meaning, rooted in a history that goes back to ancient civilizations?
I'm listening.
And that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Higgins, he points us toward ancient Egypt.
Egypt.
Yeah, specifically the Great Pyramid,
Interesting.
as a starting point for understanding the Masonic apron.
Okay. I'm not seeing the connection yet.
He says the key to unlocking the apron's secrets.
Lies in the geometry. Hidden within the pyramid itself.
The geometry of the pyramid.
Exactly.
Go on.
You'd think Egyptian artifacts would be full of pyramids, right?
Makes sense.
But Higgins points out something strange.
What's that?
There's a curious lack of them.
Really?
He says this absence is a clue
A clue to what?
that Egyptians communicated on a whole other level.
Interesting.
Using symbolic language.
right.
They encoded knowledge in geometric proportions instead of just, drawing it out.
So instead of a picture of a pyramid, they hid its essence in measurements and ratios.
Exactly. Next level thinking, right?
That's pretty wild.
So like a hidden code.
And to crack it.
We need the right key.
And what's the key in this case?
Higgins says it's the Pythagorean triangle.
The Pythagorean triangle. You mean that right-angled triangle, sides of 3, 4, and 5.
That's the one. The Egyptians called it the triangle of Hurramun, associated with their sun god.
Okay, so we've got a triangle, a sun god, and a secret code. I'm intrigued, but how does this all link back to the Great Pyramid?
Well, the dimensions of the Great Pyramid, they're not random.
Oh,
They're a physical embodiment of this sacred geometry.
Hmm.
Think of the Pythagorean triangle as like a fundamental building block of geometry.
Okay, I'm following.
A ratio that pops up everywhere in nature.
Right.
Ancient cultures saw it as representing cosmic harmony
I see.
and the Great Pyramid's dimensions. The ratio of its base to its height,
Yeah.
directly related to this triangle. Specifically, the relationship between its sides and the hypotenuse.
Hold on. So you're saying the Great Pyramid is basically a giant version of this sacred triangle, and that triangle was like a blueprint of the cosmos for the Egyptians.
Exactly.
Mind-blowing.
And if we want to understand the Masonic apron,
Yeah.
Higgins believes we need to decode the secrets held within this geometric language. He even includes a diagram in his book, Figure 14,
Figure 14. Okay.
which he claims is the key to unlocking the apron's design.
So he's suggesting the seemingly simple Masonic symbol is directly descended from the geometric principles found in the Great Pyramid.
That's exactly what he's saying.
Wow, never thought I'd find myself this fascinated by geometry.
But speaking of hidden codes, this ties directly into the design of the pharaoh's apron, right?
Oh, absolutely. And this is where the visual evidence gets really compelling.
Yeah.
Yeah, Higgins put this fascinating illustration in his book, Figure 9 it is. It shows an Egyptian pharaoh
Okay.
wearing this really intricate apron.
Yeah.
And Higgins is like, hey,
Yeah.
this isn't just some fancy outfit,
Yeah.
He wants you to notice that the apron's proportions, they're the same geometric principles
Like what?
we find in the Great Pyramid.
No way.
He even tells us, go look at the apron illustration.
Okay.
And then look at that key diagram, Figure 14.
Okay, so let me see if I've got this right. We're saying this apron worn by like Egyptian royalty.
Yeah,
It's actually a geometric representation of their most sacred building, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Built on those same Pythagorean triangle principles. And those same principles
Yeah.
show up again in the design of the modern Masonic apron.
You got it.
Man, my head is spinning a bit.
It's a lot, right?
Yeah.
And it gets even more interesting when you look at the colors on that pharaoh's apron. red, black, and green.
Okay. And those are significant or...
Higgins says those are a coded reference to the name of Jehovah. J-H-V-H.
Wait, are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
So the Masonic apron,
Yeah.
worn by Freemasons today,
Yep.
has a direct link to the Egyptian pharaohs
It appears so.
and the ancient Hebrew name for God. This is going way beyond anything I ever pictured.
That's what I love about digging into these symbols,
Right.
uncovering this hidden history. You know, how knowledge travels through time and cultures.
I'm with you.
And the story doesn't end in Egypt.
What?
Higgins says this knowledge wasn't just in the Sahara Desert.
Really?
He points to signs that Masonic knowledge existed
Where?
in ancient America with the Mayans.
Okay, now that is a bold claim.
Right.
I mean, Egypt and the Americas, those are worlds apart. Is there any proof of that?
Higgins points to those stone statues
Oh, yeah.
of Mayan sun gods. They're in the Yucatan Peninsula.
Okay.
He includes a couple of images, the frontispiece of the book and figure 21.
Right.
And guess what these gods are wearing?
Aprons.
Aprons. And not random aprons.
Yeah.
Aprons with those exact same proportions we've been discussing.
So it's more than a coincidence. The Mayans, way over on another continent,
Right.
are using the same geometric principles in their aprons.
Yep.
It's like we're uncovering some ancient universal language or something.
That's exactly what Higgins wants us to see, and it goes even further. He describes Peruvian ponchos, they're in figure 19, and they've got patterns echoing these same geometric ratios. He even includes this sketch
Oh, really?
in figure 20 of what he calls geometrical birds.
Geometrical birds.
Yeah, like figures with pyramid shapes in them. And their measurements are marked so carefully.
Wow.
It's as if these old cultures used geometry as this universal language, encoding and sharing this deep knowledge through generations and across huge distances.
This is wild, like finding a thread connecting these ancient civilizations across continents. So like I know, did the Mayans have their own version of the Pythagorean triangle then?
This is where Higgins brings in another voice.
Okay.
An explorer named Dr. Augustus Le Plongeon.
Le Plongeon. Okay.
He spent years studying the ruins of the Mayan civilization. Wow.
And Le Plongeon convinced that the Mayans, they had this advanced knowledge, mathematics, astronomy, and architecture.
So I bet he found pyramids right.
You know it.
Pyramids built with the same geometric ratios as the ones in Egypt.
He was blown away by the Maya. Said they always put their beliefs about the universe and religion into their buildings, especially the pyramids. The different parts of these buildings were designed and sized to match the ratio of a circle's diameter to its circumference. Pi 3.1415. Just like that Great Pyramid we talked about, their pyramids weren't just rocks piled up. They were expressions of math, of how they understood the universe.
Okay, so we've got Egypt, we've got the Mayans, all connected by this secret language of geometry, and holding it all together, linking it to today, is the Masonic apron. Incredible. And that's what makes all this so fascinating, right? It makes you wonder what else is out there. What other symbols or traditions have a deeper meaning than we realize?
It really makes you see the world differently. Like we've been looking at the surface of things, not the depths.
Exactly. If something as simple as the Masonic apron can be traced back to these ancient cultures and their deep understanding of geometry and the universe, what else could we find if we just look a bit closer?
It's like Higgins is saying, don't just accept things as they appear. Dig deeper, question everything, and you might be surprised by what you uncover.
Exactly. This deep dive, it's shown us a whole hidden world of knowledge passed down for generations, hidden in a language that goes beyond time and place. Makes you wonder what other secrets are still out there, hidden in plain sight, just waiting for us to decode them.
Well, I feel like my mind has been blown wide open. Huge thanks to Frank C. Higgins for taking us down this rabbit hole. And to you, listener, keep exploring, keep asking questions. Who knows what ancient wisdom you might uncover?